We are always talking about focusing. Focusing, what is focusing? It's like focus, you're not paying attention. Well, it's true that, the kids, myself, I was like that. I was not, was full of energy. I was focusing on different things at the same time. And adults were always telling me, focus, focus. So there is a book, here it's in French. They say focus. We ask often the students to be more focused. Focus. Blah. That doesn't mean to be calm and to obey, etc. Uh, when you want the attention of other people, you want them to focus, you need them to listen to you, not necessarily to be calm. Okay, I'm just translating here. To focus is to, to use the energy of your brain to listen well, understand well, to see well, and remember. And this is a secret of remembering and memorization, is to pay attention, basically. To work more and faster, almost without any effort, concentration. Voilà. So, what does that mean to be attentive? Not attentive, but to focus, to pay attention, and to succeed everything we do with pleasure. Well, the problem is focus tends to move in different ways. Okay, so the attention tends to move in different ways, but to focus is to target, okay, precisely in a decision, an idea, etc. So that means to stay stable, okay, to walk on a line and to stay stable, and straightforward. So you have to learn how to stay stable without falling, if possible, in the classroom or outside. So this is where it's happening. Okay. So let's see if we can understand the. Okay. So the brain, le cerveau, the brain, before the real brain, the back is a cartoony brain. Okay. So it helps us to think, to look, to move, to decide, to make some decisions. Okay. So it helps us to move in different ways. Okay. So they tell us how it works. We already know that. So j'aime pas, sometimes the brain is just like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. Okay. So sometimes the brain is addicted to something. Okay. They are talking about this tiny guy here. Let's see. So the neurons, they have like different kinds of neurons. They all have a function depending on the action. And with different neurons, they can make something move, an arm, some toes, etc. Okay. All the neurons, they remember what you do every day, and walking, writing, etc. Okay. And all the neurons, they remember what you like, you don't like. Okay. And when it comes down to the games, well, we have a different attitude. Okay. So, but if you're like controlled by certain cells, you can just be completely, you can just waste hours of your day for nothing. Okay. So when you are accro is like dependent to do something, just the only thing, like the cell, computer stuff, video games, etc. It can be very hard to stop. So anyway, this is, what is focusing? Focusing is, well, basically to pay attention. And it's very challenging for us teachers when we teach online to have the complete attention of the kid, because we don't know for sure what they are doing in front of the computer. So we are on the other side of the screen, and we have them like, we can see the eyes, we can see the movement of the face, We can see the movement of the fingers when they type stuff, when they pause a video, when they feel like, they are distracted with other things, and we can tell. Okay, we can tell easily. So I caught many students playing video games during my classes, and well, I have to tell them, okay, well, I know what you're doing, okay, and well, I need to tell your dad or your mom because that's not really respectful. So, but I cannot say it's unacceptable because they don't understand this word most of the time. So I have to tell them, well, it's not respectful, okay. So this the focus is, focusing is trying to do a good job, not repeating 20 times the same stuff. We could, if the kid has difficulties to understand a concept, we could do that. There is no problem. But when you repeat the same stuff over and over again because the person is not paying attention, this is when it gets a bit frustrating, okay, and we see that the person is not focusing. So before taking any kind of language course or any kind of courses, online courses, what is very important is to feel like you are not wasting not only your money but also your time, and you try to be disciplined, to write down different information, and to make sure you are paying attention. It's just a simple respect here. Okay. So anyway, this is a nice book concerning les petites bulles de l'attention. It's you have no idea how difficult it is nowadays to find people who are fully attentive to what we do. So anyway, let me just get out of that. I don't need to go back there. So there are a lot of stuff about how to learn, um, learning how to learn, how to succeed. Note to parents and teacher. You are helping a younger person to learn more effectively, which means we're already on the same team. Some of the ideas in this book were discussed in Barb's best-selling A Mind for Numbers. Many readers felt that the ideas were so simple and so particularly useful that they should be shared with younger audiences. And we have heard from thousands of people that these ideas are useful for learning all subjects, not just for math. So this book is intended for tweens and teens. Other adults will also find a treasure trove of new and practical ideas here. Okay, so they're talking about the problem with passion. Okay, so this is funny because it's a style of writing that I've seen in different books, and they tell about a story of somebody and had this this experience and blah blah blah. Okay, and they voila. So the problem with passion. Hi, my name is Barb. Great to meet you. I have a secret. When I was growing up, I was sometimes a terrible student. Sure, I was fine in subjects I liked, but otherwise, forget it. Everybody told me to follow my passion. I figured that meant do what you like, not what you don't like. It sounded like good advice to me. I hated math and science, so I avoided those subjects as if they were poison. When I had to take those courses, I did badly or I just plain failed. I'm now a professor of engineering. Surprised, engineers need a deep knowledge of math and science. I'm now really good at math and science, and I love them. How did I do it? I discovered the secrets of learning well. This is a book about how to become a successful learner. It's written for tweens, okay, and teens, but the lessons in it apply to everyone, and they relate to all kinds of learning, whether you are interested in soccer, better known as football around the world, math, dance, chemistry, riding a unicycle, learning another language, getting better at video games, or understanding the physics of how a ball bounces. This book is for you. Brains are amazing. They're the most sophisticated gadgets in the universe. They change their structure depending on what you do with them. Pretty much anyone can do well in any subject if they know more about learning. Your brain is more powerful than you think. You just need to know how to turn on that power. There are simple tricks that can improve your learning whether you're already a good student or not so good. These tricks can also make your learning more experience. For example, you're going to meet a few zombies in this book, but don't worry, they are mostly friendly ones who wants to help you learn. Okay. Okay. I wrote this book with Professor Terry Signowski. Terry knows a lot about brain science, that is, neuroscience. Terry is an expert when it comes to learning. He works with other neuroscientists who are helping us to learn better. Professors from other areas like psychology and education also discovering a lot about how we learn. So, okay, so let's just keep this stuff. There is another guy who helped. Okay, jump ahead if you'd like. If you want to get straight to the tips on how best to learn, jump now to the Now You Try section at the end of this chapter. Well, let's go there. Okay, wow. Now you try. Do a picture walk. I used to go through my textbook page by page. I was trying to make sure I understood all the ideas before I turned the page. Sounds sensible, right? Don't do this. It's a big mistake. Instead, when you start a new chapter, go on a picture walk through it. Scan it. Look briefly at all the pictures, caption and diagrams, but also at the section headings, bold words and summary, and even questions at the end of the chapter if the book has them. That's what I do. Uh, yeah, this might seem crazy. You haven't read the chapter properly yet, but you're giving your brain an idea of what's coming. It's a little like watching a preview of a movie or checking a map before you set off on a journey. You'd be surprised at how spending a minute or two glancing ahead before you read in depth will allow you to organize your thought. This works even if you read on an electronic device. Just bookmark the beginning of the chapter so you can easily return to it. It's a little like a closet. The picture walk gives you hangers where you can organize the information you're reading. Without hangers, the clothes just fall on the floor in a jumble. That's a good idea. It's a good tip, actually. Usually, the memorying, books, they are not really giving you good tips. This one is nice. Take notes, answer questions, make doodles. Okay. Why trying too hard can sometimes be part of the problem. Yes. Let's read this one because I have faced this issue with a lot of students. They are trying so hard to become good at learning a language that they fail. Has your teacher or your mom or dad ever told you to pay attention or to focus? You've probably told yourself to do it. That's because it's easy to become distracted. Sometimes whatever is going on outside the window seems more interesting than what's right in front of you. You can't help but think ahead to think like friends or lunch. Getting distracted is always bad, right? Maybe not, let's see. Take a look at the chess game in the following picture. Look at the boy on the left. He's playing against the guy on the right. The boy's rude, isn't he? Typical 13-year-old. No concentration. He's here. Well, actually, not necessarily. Even heard adults say things like that. They usually blame it on smartphone. 13-year-old Magnus Carlsen left, and legendary chess genius Garry Kasparov playing speed chess at the Reykjavik Rapid in 2004. Kasparov was surprised that Magnus wandered off, looking at other game. Garry Kasparov is one of the greatest chess players of all time. Magnus is not concentrating, so he must have no chance of winning, right? Amazingly, Kasparov didn't win the chess match. It was a tie. The world's best chess player couldn't defeat what happened to be a hopelessly distracted 13-year-old. Surprise? Sometimes we need to lose concentration so we can think more clearly. Zoning out occasionally, not all the time, can be useful when you're learning or problem solving. Soon after this photo was taken, Magnus returned to the table and focused on the game again. He had taken a little break so he could focus better when he returned. The message of this chapter is that sometimes you need to be less focused in order to become a better learner. How can that be? Okay. You've got two ways of thinking. So there is neuroscience, the science of the brain. So neuroscientists use new brain scanning technology to look inside the brain and understand it better. On the left, brain scanning workers are looking through the scanner. People lie on a special bed that slides into the scanner. The scanner is then able to take a picture on the inside of their brain, like the one on the right. Pretty neat. Neuroscientists have discovered that your brain works in two different ways. We'll call these two ways of working the focused mode and the diffuse mode. Both modes are important in helping you to learn. So focused mode, when you're using your focused mode, it means that you're paying attention. For example, you might be trying to figure out a math problem, or you might be looking at and listening to your teacher. You focus when you're playing a video game, putting together a puzzle, or learning words from a different language. When you're focusing, you're putting specific parts of the brain to work. Which parts are working depends on what you're doing. For example, when you're doing multiplication problems, focusing will use different parts of the brain that you're speaking. When you're trying to learn something new, you must first focus intently on it in order to turn on those parts of the brain and get the learning process started. And the diffuse mode, if that's focused mode, what is diffuse mode? If that's focused mode, what is diffuse mode? Diffuse mode is when your mind is relaxed and free, you're thinking about nothing in particular. You're in diffuse mode when you are daydreaming or doodling just for fun. If your teacher tells you to concentrate, you have probably slipped into diffuse mode. Okay. When you're on diffuse mode, you're gently using other parts of the brain that are mostly different from the parts you use when you are focusing. The diffuse mode helps you make imaginative connection between ideas. Creativity often seems to pop out of using the diffuse mode. It turns out that your brain has to go back and forth between focused and diffuse modes in order to learn effectively. Okay? So let's see if we can. Yeah, that's how it is, but it's a way of thinking. Let's go directly to the different tips. Now you try. Shifting modes. Here's an example to help you feel the shift from focus to diffuse mode. Use all of the same coins to make a new triangle that points down. You can move only 3 coins. You may want to try this by laying real coins in front of you, etc. So what can be done is, the clue is when you relax your mind and focus on nothing in particular, the solution comes most easily. Some kids get this exercise instantly, while some professors just give up because they are focusing too hard. The solution for this challenge is in the notes section at the back of the book. So, what's funny, it's true. It's very much true, because it's true that I have some students. They really, really try so hard to learn and to go through all the exercises, and they don't get anything done. So there is an issue here. We are trying to think differently, trying to relax as well. Okay, it can be easy to get frustrated with your studies. Oh yes, I know that. So when it's very important, getting stuck. There are 2 ways you can get stuck when you're trying to solve a math or science problem, or when you're trying to learn something new, like how to play a chord on the guitar, perform a specific move in soccer. The first way you can get stuck happens when you don't catch the initial explanation. Fortunately, with this kind of stuck going into diffuse mode, won't be much use. You haven't loaded anything into your focused mode. Your best bet is to go back and look at the examples and explanations in your notes or the book, or ask the teachers to explain again, or look on YouTube for an additional explanation, but don't let yourself get distracted by other videos. The second way you can get stuck is when you studied or focused carefully. You've loaded the explanation into your focus mode as you begin to work the problem, play the chord, or make the move. You still find yourself stuck. You grow more and more frustrated. Why can't you get it? The reason you get stuck is that you haven't given your brain's diffuse mode a chance to help out. The diffuse mode can get going until you take your attention off what it's focused on. Like Magnus Carlsen, the chess player in the picture. Sometimes you need to take a break in order to coax your brain's diffuse mode to come to the rescue. Get your brain away from the situation for a while. It opens up your access to the brain's diffuse mode. It is true, is what I do with psychology. It's very intense and I need a break every time. So I could just be like, well, I'm going to focus 4 hours every day. It's not going to work. I feel distracted and exhausted. Alternatively, focus on something different. For example, if you're working on algebra, you could switch to studying geography, but keep in mind that your brain also needs a little rest sometimes. Okay. Don't jump to conclusion about whether or not new learning strategies work. Don't try switching just once between focused and diffuse mode while you're studying, or then decide that it doesn't work for you. Sometimes you just have to go back and forth several times between focused and diffuse mode to figure something out. You need to focus hard enough on trying to understand the material before you take a break. How long should you focus? As a rough guideline, if you find yourself stuck after at least 10 or to 15 minutes of trying, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, if you're younger, it may be time for a break. When you do take a break, you need to make sure it's long enough for you to get your mind completely off the material. It's worth sticking it out and experimenting with the process. Going back and forth between focused and diffuse mode will help you to master virtually anything, whether it's geometry, algebra, psychology, basketball, guitar, chemistry, or any other subjects or hobby you're interested in learning. Okay, so that's a good advice actually, very very good advice. Summing it up, voilà, so focused and diffuse mode. Huh? We just repeating every all the time. Distraction and procrastination, yeah, that happens to everyone. Okay, so the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro. Has she gone crazy, you ask? How can a tomato make me a better learner? Well, in the 80s, Francisco Cirillo came up with a way to help procrastinator. He calls the Pomodoro technique. Well, it means tomato in Italian. Cirillo developed a tomato-shaped timer like the one here. Cirillo's technique is simple and it works. Terry and I know it is one of the most popular techniques in our course Learning How to Learn. First, you need a timer. The tomato-shaped timer is great, but any timer will do. I have a digital timer on my computer. Many people use Pomodoro apps on their smartphone or iPad. The technique works like this. Shut off all distractions, phone, TV, music, your brother, anything that gets in the way of your ability to focus. Find a quiet place to work where you won't be interrupted. If you can afford them, consider noise cancelling earphones and cheaper, but just as effective earmuffs or earplugs. Set the timer for 25 minutes. Get going and focus on the task as well as you can. 25 minutes is not long, you can do it. Now for the best, after 25 minutes, reward yourself. Watch a dance video or listen to your favorite song. Maybe dance to it yourself. Cuddle with your dog or chat with friends for 5 or 10 minutes or so. The reward is the most important part of the whole Pomodoro process. When you're looking forward to a reward, your brain helps you focus better. Okay? But let's do this. And we can just check the other part of the book later.